Welcome to The Explainer. So what if I told you that a life-saving device, like a condom, could be seen not as a tool for health, but as a direct threat to your very immortality? Yeah, it's a heavy question. To really get our heads around the complexities of AIDS education in parts of Africa, we have to step into a completely different way of seeing the world, a different view of illness, of community, and honestly of the entire meaning of life itself. Let's dive in.
Our story starts not with a virus, but with a feeling. This quote here, it captures that feeling perfectly. A community just frozen, struck dumb by some unknown, terrifying force. And that's exactly the kind of feeling that surrounded a mysterious new illness that started to spread back in the early 80s. An illness we'd eventually come to know as AIDS.
Okay, picture this. It's a village on the Ugandan border. A trader shows up with this gorgeous patterned cloth. The women, they love it. They call it Julianiana cloth. But pretty soon, a strange thing starts to happen. The women who get the cloth, sometimes by trading sex for it, they start to get sick with this bizarre wasting disease. No appetite, constant diarrhea, just getting weaker and weaker.
So the community, they're trying to figure this out. And their conclusion isn't biological, it's spiritual. It has to be the trader, right? He must be a witch, and the cloth itself is cursed. So traditional healers, they go to work, trying everything they can to fight this evil. But the curse, it just seems too strong. The sickness keeps spreading. That story, it's the perfect window into this fundamental difference in how we think about getting sick. It's not about ignoring science. It's about asking a totally different and, you could argue, a much more personal question. Not how, but why. Think about it. Western medicine is all about the immediate cause. How did I get sick? Simple. A virus got into my body. But in the traditional African worldview, the bigger question is the ultimate cause. Why did I get sick? Why me, and not the person next door? And from that perspective, it's totally plausible that someone, using magic, sent that virus to you specifically. You see, in this view, there's no real wall between the physical world and the spiritual world. They're completely intertwined. So being healthy means you're in harmony with everything. Getting sick? Well, that's a sign that something's wrong. Maybe you've upset an ancestor, or you're under attack from a witch. It's all connected. And this is not some fringe belief. Check out this study from the late 80s. It is absolutely eye-opening. In the rural area they looked at, a staggering 72% of illnesses were blamed on witchcraft or sorcery. 72%. And even in the city, it's still at 45%, almost half. The biological, non-mystical cause, that's actually the minority view. And this quote from a young man named Sizwe just makes it so real. He's talking about his friend Jake, who has symptoms we'd immediately recognize as AIDS-related. But for Sizwe and his village, the answer is obvious. His uncle was jealous. He used witchcraft, a poison slipped into his girlfriend's food, to attack him. It's a completely logical explanation within that worldview. Okay, so we've got this framework for understanding illness. Now let's add another critical layer, sexuality. Because to really get why a simple message like use a condom can fail so spectacularly, we have to totally reframe what sex and having children even mean. It all starts with a different idea of time. In traditional African thought, there are two main concepts. You've got the Sasa, that's the now, the time you're alive and experiencing things. Then there's the Zamani, that's the past, the great ocean of time where the ancestors are. As you get older, you're basically moving from the Sasa towards the Zamani. But here's the key. Dying isn't the end. You can achieve a kind of personal immortality. You stay in the Sasa as a living dead. How? Well, it's simple. You exist as long as there is someone alive who knew you and remembers your name. The second you're forgotten, poof, you slip out of the Sasa and are lost forever to the Zamani.
This is so crucial. Having children isn't just a lifestyle choice. It is a profound religious duty. It's how you survive. It's how you cheat that final death of being forgotten. Your children are the ones who will remember your name, who will keep you in the Sasa, who will literally grant you immortality.
So, not having children, that is an absolute catastrophe. It's seen as a fate worse than genocide. I mean, think about that. Because you're not just dying. You are wiping out your entire lineage and guaranteeing that you will be utterly and completely forgotten. You are destroying your own immortality. Okay, so with that understanding of immortality now in our minds, the resistance to condoms starts to make a very different kind of sense. It's not about being ignorant or irrational. It's a direct collision with what is seen as the single most important purpose in life.
It really all comes down to this one question, doesn't it? If your entire existence, your entire purpose, is geared towards creating descendants who will keep your memory alive, why on God's green earth would you voluntarily use something specifically designed to stop that from happening? The logic against it is just incredibly powerful.
And the objections, they're layered and deeply cultural. A condom is seen as blocking the literal flow of life, the gift of self between two people. It prevents fertility, which, as we've seen, is the key to immortality. And get this, some even believe that a fetus needs repeated contributions of semen to ripen properly, and a condom gets in the way of that. Then you have these very real physical fears, like it could get lost and travel up to your throat and choke you.
And this point here just perfectly sums up the philosophical problem. In places like Rwanda, health is understood as flow, and sickness is blockage. So, how can a device that literally blocks be seen as anything other than a source of sickness? It's a complete contradiction in terms.
Okay, there's one last piece of the puzzle we need to put in place, and it's the role of the individual versus the community. It's all captured in this incredibly powerful idea: I am because we are.
This famous proverb, it says it all. In many traditional African societies, you don't really exist as an isolated, separate self. Your entire identity, your very being, is completely wrapped up in the collective, in the group.
So what that means is that the big things in life, they're shared experiences. If one person is suffering, the whole community feels it. If one person is healed, the whole group is healed. Sickness isn't your own private battle to fight. It's a crisis for the entire community, and everyone has to deal with it together. But, and this is a huge but, this communal focus creates a painful, terrible paradox when it comes to HIV. Because even though sickness is a group affair, the stigma is so intense that telling people your status can be deadly. You could be rejected, thrown out, or even killed, like the activist Gugu Dlamini, who was murdered by her neighbors after she disclosed her status. So public silence becomes a tragic act of self-preservation. So, given this incredibly complex web of beliefs about sickness, immortality, and community, where do you even begin? Just dropping a Western model on top of all this clearly is not the answer. The real path forward, it seems, lies in building a bridge between these two worlds.
One really smart approach is something called the PEN model. It's all about working with the culture, not against it. First, you find the positive behaviors that are already helpful and you encourage them. Second, you respect the exotic, the neutral practices that might seem strange to outsiders but aren't harmful. And finally, and this is key, you work with community leaders to change the negative behaviors that are actually dangerous.
And this leaves us with a final, really provocative question to chew on. Some have argued that the breakdown of old, traditional customs that used to strictly regulate sexual behavior is actually part of what fueled the crisis. So maybe the solution isn't just about new ideas from the outside, but about finding a way to respectfully bring back the wisdom of the old ones. Can the past actually hold the key to a healthier future? That's definitely something to think about.